We are finally behind the wheel of a 2016 Shelby GT350. Ford in recent times has been absolutely killing the game in their performance line, with the flat plane crank V8 in the GT350. The Focus RS, the Ford GT, the Raptor. It is clear that Ford is pumping out some incredible products that are in high demand. It's hard to get one of these.
Yeah. The Shelby is essentially the ultimate Mustang, one of the, if not the best Mustang ever from a handling performance perspective. That crazy flat plane crank V8 is such an exotic engine for a car at this price point, coming in two variants with the normal 350 and the full out insane track monster 350R. This is one of the most exciting cars that an American car company has built in the last couple of years.
Absolutely. Ford is all about providing performance at an affordable price. You can't spell affordable without Ford. I came up with that earlier. But this car doesn't have any of the real compromises that you're used to from an American car manufacturer building a sports car. You compare it to a European car and you go, well, it can't handle that well. Oh, the interior's not that great. But with the Shelby GT350, it eradicates all of those issues. I actually like the Alcantara, the nice suede and the leather in this more than in a GT Premium.
The interior is definitely just way, way better than the previous generation Mustangs, which frankly are garbage. The switchgear, the entire layout, design of the dash, everything has a more premium European feel to it.
And then from a performance standpoint, this Mustang is the first that actually feels like it wants to go around a corner quickly, and that has a lot of power. Boss 302 was a huge leap forward from the normal last generation Mustang, and this is just incredible how confidence inspiring this car is to drive, which is not a word you would ever use to previously describe Mustangs. I mean, all the, you know, the hype behind Mustangs crashing, it does have some substance to it, because they were a little bit hard to drive, especially with the lack of independent rear suspension in a car with 662 horsepower. It's a little bit of a death trap. But
Ford benchmarked the BMW M4, Porsche GT3, and the Camaro Z28 when they developed this car, which all of those are very capable handling vehicles, and they sure did a good job hitting that target with this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Instead of just hitting performance benchmarks from an acceleration standpoint, this was about ride quality and handling and lack of body roll. We've got magnetic shocks that actually can adjust while you're
7 milliseconds.
7 milliseconds. While you're in the middle of a corner, it can actually slow down body roll, so this corner's more flat. You've got huge Brembo brakes. The car stops itself impressively fast. It's actually one of my favorite parts about the car. And well, the exhaust note is one of the best V8 sounds of any car ever.
It just keeps revving.
It just keeps revving. One of the benefits of a flat plane crankshaft is its capability of going into really, really, really high revs. When you punch it in second gear at 6,000 RPMs, you feel like, oh, I should shift.
Nope.
And then you just keep going, and then 7 grand comes along, you're like, oh no, I should probably shift.
Nope.
And then 8,250 RPMs
red line
is the red line. That's staggering.
The coolest thing about this engine is that it is a 5.2 liter flat plane crank. So flat plane crank engines are the race car derived stuff right there. 458, the Ferrari engines always use that. The McLaren has that, a Porsche 918. They could never go above that 4.5 liter, that kind of threshold, because due to some vibration and stuff, the engine will like shake itself to pieces. Ford figured it out. The downside is, as you were saying earlier, the flat plane crank in this is, I think, 50 pounds.
Yeah,
the
Ferrari 458 is 34 pounds. Yes. So they had to add some weight to deaden the vibrations. That's one of the downsides.
Ford figured it out. Ford figured it out.
They did, and it's pretty impressive. That's why most manufacturers go to the cross plane. It's called that because actually, if you look at the crankshaft head on, it looks like a plus sign with the configuration. But this allows it to be a lighter,
Yes.
higher revving engine that sounds incredible. We've got an even firing order, left, right, left, right, left, right, and that gives it a little bit of a distinct noise
Yes.
from the rest of the Mustang lineup.
I mean, the 5.2 liter, nicknamed the Voodoo engine, literally is what makes this car so special.
Absolutely.
If they stuck a modified version of the 5.0 in here, it would be much, much less cool. This thing is all about that engine.
I mean, just the startup sound, revving it when it's sport mode. Oh my God. It
Sounds
crackles,
so
it's
good.
just so mean. And just it's not even all exhaust. The induction noise in the engine itself is actually what you hear mostly.
Horsepower-wise, the 5.2 makes 526 horsepower and 429 pound-feet of torque, so that's a lot. It's over 100 horsepower per liter, which is really high output for a naturally aspirated engine. 0 to 60 happens in about 4 seconds, quarter mile in mid-12s.
Yep.
So it is definitely a quick car. I mean, and it puts that power down through a 6-speed manual transmission. It's a Tremec unit, much better than the crappy MT82 that was in my car. Rear-wheel drive only, obviously it's a Mustang, and custom Michelin Pilot Super Sports. I mean, this thing handles so well for just
295s in the front, 305s in the back. It's similar to the Z28 that we had with the square 305 setup, and it really does.
You go to the R, it upgrades even wider.
Yeah, 305 and 315.
Yeah, carbon wheels with crazy Cup 2s, which are pretty much unusable if it gets cold. But this is the car you get that you want to be able to drive for fun, track it occasionally, but you don't want the full compromise of the full R car.
Yeah, so the R, what people are saying is, we haven't driven one yet, and we'd love to review it. If you're thinking about a GT350 and not the R, then don't drive the R around the track, because it does have some inherent benefits. 16 pounds per wheel was saved with the carbon fiber wheels, a total of over 130 pounds, and apparently it feels a lot more than that because of taking away the unsprung weight on the wheels. That makes a huge difference with turn-in and handling.
So the primary options on the GT350 are the Tech Pack and the Track Pack for the 2016 model year. The Tech Pack gives you all like the luxury features back in. You can have heated seats, the large sync screen, everything like that, a sound system. The problem with that is it did not have the Tech Pack with it. So the Tech Pack primarily brings you oil cooler, a differential cooler, and a transmission cooler. That's the important stuff, because if you want to track this car, you need that. It also has the largest spoiler, it's more track oriented, hence the name Track Pack. The problem with the Tech Pack cars were people tried to track them and they would go into limp mode because they were overheating, so that was bad. So for the 2017 model year, Ford made the Track Pack standard on the normal GT350. So if you're wondering where the heck Track Pack went for the 2017, it's because it's standard.
That is a really smart move, because there is another manufacturer in the big three that made a track-oriented car that can't go around more than a few laps before having horrible heat soak. The fact that you actually can beat on this car, it's meant to be driven hard, and with the sound and just how crisp the transmission is, and the steering, the turn-in is incredible. You're gonna want to drive.
I mean, it's
the crap out of this thing.
It's electric, steer by wire. It's one of the best systems. Multiple modes for different weighting. It's great.
Yeah, and this car can do more than just drive fast. It's actually pretty comfortable. You've got comfort mode in the steering and the suspension. You can kind of customize it however you like, because there are different options. Recaro seats, what do you think? Really aggressive,
they're really comfortable. The bolstering, they're comfortable, but they are rather aggressive seats. I mean, they'll hold you in, but I'd imagine
if you're a bigger individual, maybe over 235 pounds or so, it's going to be too
Might
tight.
not be as comfortable. I mean, they look sweet. You can get the regular seats in them, but this is what I would spec in this vehicle.
Oh, absolutely. Hugs you in place. It actually feels like a track car, but we're casually driving it on the road. A lot of people wonder, why doesn't this car sound like a 458 if it has a flat plane crank? Well, there's several reasons. One, bigger displacement. There's a heavier crankshaft, that plays a role. They only have one intake plenum instead of two, and it has unequal length headers instead of equal length headers. Rumor has it, on startup, the equal length headers had some emissions issues that wouldn't pass in a mass-produced vehicle. It still sounds
unbelievably
unmistakably
good. Very
Ford
American,
and
but very
unmistakably
not a normal
incredible.
American. So the first thing I noticed in this car is the clutch. It's extremely light. I don't know if just I'm used to the one in my Boss, but the engagement point doesn't feel as defined, and the overall weight is very, very light for such a performance-oriented vehicle. That could be welcome if you're going to try to daily drive it. It definitely is more friendly and easy to use, but it just, I'm not sure about the feeling.
Space inside here. The front, pretty large. You got plenty of headroom.
Decent, yep.
Yeah, the visibility is decent. The rear seats, honestly,
all right, joke.
The delete package that comes with the R.
Yes.
At first, you're like, well, why would you want to get rid of the seats? It makes sense. They're completely useless. Now, the legroom isn't all that bad, but the headroom, because of the sloping roof, the fastback style, you'd have to be 5'2" to even barely fit in the back. Your head's got to be completely sideways. So, I mean, it's extra space for groceries, but seat delete, welcomed.
So some of the cool tech in this car, now we've briefly mentioned there's multiple modes. So you have normal mode, sport mode, track mode, there's a weather mode, and then there's the drag strip mode. Ford made a big deal how this is not supposed to be a straight line speed drag car. That was the GT500. This is more of a lap car. But they did include the lap mode, or the drag mode, which softens up the rear suspension, tightens up the front, automatically initializes launch control, and then at the 1-2 shift, it will soften up the suspension again in the same manner, and then retighten up as you get faster. So like it's literally set up for drag racing. It's pretty cool. Line lock obviously is included, which is good for roasting rear tires.
Yeah, I mean this car actually isn't all that heavy.
3791 with the track pad.
Yeah, it's not a light car, but with 526 horsepower, I don't care that they didn't say it's not good in a straight line. Oh,
I'm short shifting.
Damn, I mean,
gotta get used to
that. That is fast.
50.
You were, what RPM did you get to?
Like 5,500.
Yeah, 5,500, and that felt really fast. Yeah. And you had another 2.5, 3 grand to go. Oh yeah. I can see your hand hesitating on the shift.
I'm like, why did it shift?
I want to shift.
This engine is insane. Oh my god, I love it.
Awesome. Oh my god, it feels even quicker from the passenger seat.
This is a fun car.
It is. It's a really, really fun car. I mean, I think for 50 grand.
Yeah, for the it starts below 50.
This
48.
is the best car for the money. If you're looking for a performance car. I mean, the looks. You take the S550 Mustang, which I thought was a little bit of an improvement over the last one, although a little bit less aggressive, kind of sleeker. And then they came out with this, and it was just jaw-dropping.
Yes.
I mean, it made the S550 look lame. I can't see them really improving this if they come out with a GT500. I mean, maybe a little bit wider, bigger grills, but oh my gosh,
every single color spec looks awesome.
The wing on the back, just.
And then you start talking more about value, performance for the money. I mean, over 500 horsepower. It's really fast around the track. This thing will keep up with much more expensive, more exotic cars. I mean, and
a lot of car companies are phasing out manual transmissions, and this only comes with the manual. So
it's quite a good manual, actually.
It is. That is a welcome bonus compared to the last generation of Getrag transmissions.
I've experienced
the best. Oh my god. Even sitting here, I feel like, dude, shift, and it just keeps on going.
This is a great engine and transmission setup. So, things we love about it, hate about it?
Sure, so...
Engine.
Incredible sounding, incredible engineering marvel. Yes. They really knocked it out of the park. It's about as high-strung as it gets.
Yes,
so, unlike a lot of engines nowadays where they put it in the car, and because they've got a higher spec one out there, they detune it. This is as performance.
I mean, the engines in the world that make naturally aspirated that can make over 100 horsepower per liter is stuff in the GT3 RS, the Lamborghini Aventador SV engine, 458 Special engine. This is the company that this the other engines in that level.
You're talking about not just normal Porsche cars, but the highest
output
end,
yeah,
and then the exotic supercars, and this is able to
engineering masterpiece
produce something like that. The exhaust note, I mean,
sounds so good.
That's maybe the best part of the car, and it's just
casual half throttle.
Oh my god.
I love, one of my favorite parts is whenever I see a 350, they start up and it sounds good, and then you can hear when they put it into sport mode.
Absolutely.
The sound gets deeper, just blah, blah, blah. Oh God, it sounds so good. The magnetic ride also, it rides really great and will handle really well at the same time. There's no compromise there. Just the speed at which it can recalculate and readjust the density of the shocks, perfect.
And just the overall handling experience.
Yes.
Turn-in is razor sharp. You don't have typical body roll that's associated with, you know, last generation's sloppy Mustang.
Yeah.
This is an incredible performance car for around the track. Oh,
that's great.
My God, that is fast. So things we don't like about it. One thing I noticed is this is a heavier car. When you do slam on the brakes, it feels like it gets a little bit squirrely. So it's a little bit less predictable. It's based on an S550 platform,
Which
right?
so they way
can't,
too heavy.
It's too heavy.
Yeah.
They can't really do much about that. They tried as hard as they could and they got the weight down. It's not going to be a 3,200 pound go-kart because it doesn't have the chassis for it.
The clutch, little light, not a huge fan of the feeling of it. It works, I mean, the rest of the shifting feel I think is great.
Awesome.
The ratios, the spacing, everything is excellent. I am not a huge fan of the clutch feel from a performance driving perspective.
Lastly, the markup. So right now, if you want an R, I mean, what are you paying?
They're starting to drop a little, but when these first came out, you couldn't find an R for less than like $85,000 to $90,000, which is approximately $25,000 to $30,000 over stickers.
And you still got to pay a lot over stickers. The normal
now.
350, 3 to 5K over stickers.
That's a good deal.
That's like
If
a
you
good
get it,
deal.
Yeah, I know of friends that have gotten them for about 5K or something. Like, heck yeah, I would probably do that.
Because the 350s are going for closer to sticker, that almost seems like the right move. Especially if you're not going to be on the track all the time. This car handles really well.
So well.
Not just handles well for a Mustang, handles
for
well
anything.
for a sports car.
Yeah. So in summary, awesome engine, awesome handling, best Mustang ever built.
Absolutely best Mustang ever built. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review. Like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you next video.